We had been married for 3 years when my husband suddenly brought his bedridden mother to live with us and demanded that I quit my job, give up my high salary, and devote myself entirely to taking care of her. I only smiled, firmly chose divorce, and left behind one sentence that shattered him. Later, he was on his knees at my doorstep, begging for forgiveness. I met Fong through an arranged introduction. It wasn't a romantic beginning, but it was quite common for people in their 30s like us. At that time, I was just an ordinary office worker, going to work and then returning to my parents' small house each day. Fong was 2 years older, head of the sales department at a construction materials company. He wasn't outstanding in appearance, but he had a charming way with words. From our very first meeting, I, someone who rarely opened up in conversation, could sit and listen to him talk for hours without feeling bored. He spoke about his work, his business trips, even his plans for the future. He said he only wished to find a gentle wife who knew how to take care of the family so that he could focus on his career. Those words gave a traditional woman like me a sense of trust. My parents liked him too. My father remarked that Fong was lively and ambitious, so I would not suffer in the future. My mother praised him for being polite, respectful, and coming from a stable family. The person who reassured me the most was Fong's mother, Mrs. Lair. The day he brought me home to meet his family, I was so nervous, afraid I might face a strict, demanding mother-in-law. But Mrs. Lair welcomed me warmly, held my hand, and sat me down beside her, her eyes full of affection. She said, "Such a pretty girl. My Fong really has a good eye. I've heard him talk about you so much, and now I finally get to meet you." She spoke to me kindly, as if she had known me for a long time, asking about my work, my family, and even my hobbies. She praised me for being gentle, exactly the kind of daughter-in-law she had always wished for. During the meal, she constantly picked food for me, reminding me, "Eat a lot, dear. Just treat this as your own home. Once you become my daughter-in-law, I'll see you as my own daughter." That sentence moved me so much, I nearly burst into tears. Fong, sitting beside me, looked at me with pride. His father, a quiet but kind man, also nodded in approval. On later visits, Mrs. Lair always acted close to me, even calling me herself to check in or invite me to go shopping. She told me stories about Fong's childhood, even his little quirks. She reassured me, "If he ever bullies you, just tell me and I'll scold him." She even laid out a plan. After marriage, we'd have children, boy or girl. She would love them all, and she would take care of everything, so I wouldn't have to worry about balancing work and family. Those firm promises made me completely trust her. I thought I was truly fortunate to have both a good husband and an understanding mother-in-law. My own mother felt relieved and happy for me as well. My mother once said that finding a good husband is a blessing for a daughter. Hearing that, I felt reassured and trusting. My wedding with Fong took place quickly, with the blessings of both families. In the early days after the ceremony, married life was truly sweet and peaceful. Fong was a caring husband, always helping me with housework after work. We cooked together, watched movies, and nurtured our little home. On weekends, we often went to my in-laws' house for meals. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Lair, was always welcoming, cooking dishes I liked, and reminding Fong to love and take care of his wife. Back then, I thought happiness was something that simple and would last forever. But then I realized that beautiful things are sometimes only the beginning of unforeseen storms. Chapter 2: The True Face. That peace lasted only about half a year. When I first became a daughter-in-law, I still believed in my mother-in-law's tenderness and kindness. But gradually, Mrs. Lair began to change. It all started with questions about children. At first, she asked gently, "Do you two have any good news yet?" Fong and I would usually smile and reply that we wanted to enjoy more time as a couple. She nodded without comment, but soon those questions came more often, with an increasingly harsh tone. At every meal, she would remind us, "It's been half a year since the wedding. Other people conceive right after marriage. You two should hurry up." Her words, which might seem normal to others, became a burden to me. Fong would signal me not to take it to heart, telling her that having children depends on fate. But she snapped back, "What would a man know? A woman's worth lies in her husband and children. If she can't give birth, then it's better to cast her aside. Those words felt like an invisible knife, leaving me frozen. Her gaze no longer carried affection, only coldness. I longed for Fong to defend me, but he only forced a smile and changed the subject. From that day on, Mrs. Lair no longer addressed me with endearment as before. To my face, she still called me daughter, but behind my back she would say to Fong or the neighbors, your wife, or sometimes even, that woman. One day, I overheard her on the phone with Fong's sister. She's nothing. Maybe she's infertile. All she has is her looks, nothing else. I stood outside the door, my hands trembling, unable to believe what I heard. The woman who once promised to treat me like a daughter was now so cruel. That night, I told Fong everything. I asked him why his mother had changed, why she treated me that way. He only sighed, held me, and said, "She's just anxious and said something thoughtless. She grew up in the countryside and isn't good with words, but she doesn't mean any harm." Choked with emotion, I replied, "What kind of good intention is it to curse your daughter-in-law as infertile? What kind of kindness is it to call me that woman?" Fong looked troubled, then simply said, "Just endure it for the sake of peace in the family. She's older, we're the younger ones, so being patient keeps the household harmonious." Hearing that, my heart sank. I realized that in the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, Fong would never stand on my side. To him, I would always just be that woman, while his mother remained his first priority. The pressure from Mrs. Lair only grew. She bought all kinds of herbal medicine and forced me to drink them. Every day she called to check in. The bitter decoctions made me nauseous, but I didn't dare refuse for fear of being scolded again. Fong only consoled me lightly. "Just take them to make Mom happy, they're good for your health anyway." I began to feel lonely in my own marriage. The home that was once warm had now become suffocating. After nearly a year of living under pressure, I finally became pregnant. When I saw the 2 red lines appear, I burst into tears. They were tears of both joy and relief, because I thought I would finally escape the gossip. Fong was overjoyed, hugged me tightly, and took me to tell his parents the news. Mrs. Lair's happiness was obvious. Immediately, her attitude changed completely. She held my hand, her sweet tone returning as it had been in the beginning.